The board has nothing to report at this time regarding closed session. May I have a roll call, please?
Trustee Lee.
Here.
Trustee Tejada.
Here.
Walker.
Here. The next item, number 8, is approval of the agenda. Do we have any changes?
Yes, we're going to table item 20A1 until the next board meeting, which is January 14th, since Trustee Gallegos is not present.
Is that the only change?
That is all.
Move to approve the agenda with that change.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next agenda item is 9A, installation of board trustees.
You going to turn it over to me?
Presta?
Okay, thank you so much. So I have the honor of asking our returning trustee and our new trustee to recite the loyalty oath. So I think we'll start with Trustee Lee, and then after that, I will go out and have our new trustee. So Trustee Lee, please repeat after me. I
Andrew Lee,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
Constitution of the State of California,
that I will take this obligation freely
that I will take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I have for Trustee Lee, a certificate from the County of San Mateo, Certificate of Elections Office. And thank you so much. Okay. And I'm going to call up Marty Cho to the podium.
Do I stand here? All right,
Ready?
let's do it. I, Martining Cho, aka Marty Cho,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
That I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California.
and the Constitution of the State of California,
That I will take this obligation freely
that I will take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Thank you.
All right.
Congratulations. And here's your certificate from the County of San Mateo, Certification of Elections. Welcome, and please come and take your place at the dais. Okay, I realized that I was going to start the meeting, but you did. It's fine. Just go. Yes.
Trustee Cho,
Yes.
we'd like to offer you an opportunity to say a few words.
I want to.
Microphone. Is your microphone on?
It should be on. Is it on?
Now it is.
Okay, now it's on. First of all, to thank my family that is here, my significant other, Diane Cho, for being an incredible rock of my life and keep pushing me to push the boundaries. And really inspired to be here and excited to be inspiration and learn from you all. So thank you.
You tell me when to stop. Item 10 is the governing board annual reorganization. Item 10A is to elect a board president. Superintendent Presta?
So is there a motion to nominate a trustee to act as board president in the coming year?
Yes, even though he's not here, I nominate Jerome Gallegos to be board president.
I second.
All in favor?
That's you.
I think you're fine.
We can entertain a motion to act on that nomination.
Okay. Move to act on that nomination for Jerome Gallegos as board president.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, thank you. 10B is to elect a board vice president.
I'd like to move to appoint Charette Walker as board vice president.
Second.
There's a second, so you call it.
You can just-
call it all in favor.
All in
I'm
favor?
just thinking whether or not I should do this or you should.
Oh, because this is Charette Walker, so he isn't sure if he should preside over his own. So you've got a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you. Item 10C is to elect a board clerk. Are there any nominations?
I move that we I move and nominate Rosie Tejada as board clerk.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. You may
And-
applaud now.
I should definitely applaud as I am no longer the board clerk. 10D is to appoint a board secretary.
As this is typically the superintendent, I nominate our superintendent, Tony Presta.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 You don't need to
Congratulations.
applaud.
Presta.
No applause necessary.
So item 11 is for us to recess to our honoree reception. So we'll take a short break and come back at 7.
I think 7:30
30.
sounds about right.
All right.
Okay.
We're going to meet out in the
7:13?
hallway.
Yes, we'll meet out in the hallway. Okay.
Now we will reconvene to our regular session. Item 13, approval of the minutes. We have a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
14 is report of closed session. There's no report to be made. 15, recognitions and commendations. 15A is the December Student of the Month. I believe that Principal Torres from Oceana High School is going to present to us.
Members of the board, I am very excited to honor Hayden Leung as our Student of the Month. And the staff and I wrote a little something about him, hopefully to embarrass him well. When staff members were asked to describe Hayden, the word that came up from every single person is kindness. Hayden embodies kindness from his greetings in the hallways to interactions with classmates. One of his teachers states that she sees his genuine kindness as one of his greatest strengths. He is one of the most compassionate students at Oceana. He is always willing to support his groupmates and does so with patience and understanding. Hayden always brings a positive energy to his classes and our school. Hayden's chemistry teacher shares that Hayden shines consistently at the top of his class in understanding complicated concepts with an extraordinary attention to detail and curiosity. As his mentor on the senior exhibition project, his chemistry teacher also shares that Hayden has reached out to multiple experts in the field to interview them as sources, as well as diving deeply into written research. As they meet every few weeks to discuss his progress, he consistently comes with thoughtful questions and an eagerness for feedback, and he demonstrates organizational and time management skills that are truly astonishing. His current math teacher shared that he always shows a great interest in math, occasionally bringing up his own questions of math he sees online. He goes above and beyond to understand the material, to be able to explain the content, and to continue to challenge himself outside of class. Hayden's counselor shares that Hayden is an amazing leader of his class. She appreciates his thoughtfulness and his ability to handle everything he does with grace. As senior class president, a position he was reelected to after serving as junior class president, Hayden has set an extraordinary example for future leaders. He has raised the bar for what it means to lead with purpose, focus, and humility. Every part of his management style is impressively organized, yet executed with a calm kindness that inspires those around him. It's no surprise that Hayden's peers achieve great things under his leadership. Mr. Korp shares that he first recognized Hayden's exceptional leadership last year. Even before he knew he would be elected senior class president, he took the initiative to plan and design senior sweatshirts for the following year. This wasn't part of his job description. It was a decision he made simply to better serve the student body, regardless of who won the presidency. That proactive, selfless attitude is the core of what makes him so remarkable. In addition, he began researching and planning for a senior trip and other activities during his junior year. Understanding the cost involved, he made fundraising a top priority for the class. As a result, the class of 2025 currently has the largest account balance of any senior class. Hayden is a gift to everyone who knows him and to all those who benefit from his leadership. The entire Oceana community is fortunate to have him guiding us with kindness, dedication, and a quiet confidence that makes a world of a difference. Hayden is an amazing young adult, and we're excited to congratulate him on being selected as Jefferson Union High School District's December Student of the Month.
Thank you all for, this time. I'm really honored to accept this award. And I'd like to dedicate this award not only to my family, but also to all of my community members at Oceana whose support has been unwavering, especially during senior year, which can definitely be a time of tornadoes and hurricanes. But yeah, their support has truly been invaluable in guiding me through this whole process. And this isn't only an award for me. It's also an award for the people who have supported me, the people who have guided me, the people who have trusted me, and especially for Oceana, a community where it's truly like hard to find a place where you don't fit in because everybody's always so accepting. Everybody shows kindness. And I think that's kind of where I've also got it too. To where the people's kindness, the kindness that I have received from others has helped me better show kindness towards others. And I'm really grateful for everyone here today, everyone who has supported my journey so far. And I look forward to the future, not only for me, but for all of us. And thank you guys again.
Oh, don't go anywhere. Stay up there.
Thank you, Hayden. I'd like to give the board a chance to say a few words to Hayden. Starting with our student trustees, if you'd like. I think Ms. Rajan's going to say something.
Okay. I really liked your outlook on the kindness that you receive is the kindness that you can put out into the world. It's really smart.
I would like to say congratulations. I know how hard senior year is, and like looking at like Westmore's senior class officers, they put in like the work. So I know that how hard you've worked for this award. So congratulations.
Thank you.
First of all, can you run for president? That's my first question.
Maybe. We'll see. Who knows?
But in all seriousness, congratulations. Right? Like, it's really, really inspiring. It motivates us to be here to see young people coming into leadership role. Without a doubt, you are a leader, and really lean into that. Don't shy away from it. It's not going to be easy when you graduate high school, especially when you become an adult and you're adulting, but don't shy away from that. That's something that I can just tell is built in you on that skill. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow, Hayden, congratulations. Impressive resume. And, you know, I mean, it's impressive to just hear about both your management style and your leadership style. And people usually forget, you know, think that when you manage, you're leading, and that's not necessarily the case because you're not leading if nobody's following you. Clearly, people are following you, and you have the skills to effectively manage them, skills which will certainly, you know, bode well for you as you move forward. I'm very excited to see what you're going to do next, and especially given what's been shared with us tonight and what you've been able to accomplish in your time at Oceana. There's no doubt in my mind you're going on to some impressive things down the road. So thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
Hi, Hayden. It's my honor to meet you. I met you earlier, and I warned you that you're going to have to listen to a lot of people complimenting you. And I said, you strike me as someone who finds it hard to take compliments because that's not why you do things. And you know, just the word kindness keeps coming up with you. And I think that kindness is very underrated. It means so much to be kind, and we need that right now. And that you handle everything with grace, and that you're a gift to everyone who knows you. I sense that. I mean, you know, it's not you have the traits of a quiet yet strong leader that I aspire to be. I've always tried to lead with empathy and not always be up in front, but getting things done. And it sounds like you get things done. You do what needs to be done, and not to your benefit, but for everyone else. And that's going to take you a really long way. And I want to thank your family for raising such an awesome son. And you've made them proud. You've made us proud, and your school proud. But our district, I mean, I'm so proud of all of our students, but when we honor someone like you, it really lifts all of us up. So I just wish you the very best in whatever you do. And I know you're going to be the best in everything you do. Please stay in touch with us and let us know how you're doing.
I will. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much.
Thanks for your leadership and congratulations. In my civilian work, not this superhero work, I'm a lawyer. And when we have the nerve to complain about work, we refer to our work as a big pie eating contest. And if you win the pie eating contest, you know what you get? More pie. So you're here receiving an award because of your pie eating, and I'm going to give you a little bit more pie. You talked about how senior year can be full of tornadoes and hurricanes, sometimes literally. And I just suggest to you, as a leader at Oceana in the district, if you can give someone a chance to stay out of the flood zone, you have us as a resource, you have your student trustees as a resource, you have yourself as a resource, and I encourage you to keep eating pie. Continue, please, to let us know what you're up to.
Thank you.
And if we have the chance to help you, I know that we'd all be honored to serve that way. Thanks.
Thank you.
I was waiting for you to acknowledge me, Vice President Walker.
Superintendent Tony Presto.
Thank you. Thank you. Hayden, it's funny, Trustee Tejada picked up on a few of the exact words. We wrote some of the exact same things down. What stood out to me from what your teachers and the staff at Oceana said about you is that your kindness radiates through, and that you are a gift to everyone who knows you. And truly, that's what matters in life. It's wonderful to have achievements. It's wonderful to get good grades. That's all really great stuff. But really, what people remember about others is when they are kind to them and how you make other people feel. So thank you for that. I'm super proud of you. Thank you to your parents and your family. You are a wonderful example of a human being. So congratulations, and have a wonderful rest of your senior year. Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Hayden. Let's take a picture.
Sorry, it's okay. I think it's Karen. Yeah. Karen. Go ahead. Are you good? Okay, all right. Student trustees, yeah. Your parents do. Student trustees, come on in. Yeah. You want to come? Can we guys come in? We can. Okay. Get all that? Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. Congratulations. Earned it. Okay.
Okay, moving along. Item 16A, a board report. Can we start with the student trustees, if you have anything to report?
Yeah, so I'll go first with Oceana. Because we have finals coming up, we've kept it kind of simple this month. We started off with our winter formal that just happened last Friday. And then we also had Harvest Fair, which I believe was also on Friday, where certain clubs at Oceana can sell food and drinks and earn some money for their clubs. And then lastly, we've just kind of been focusing on finals week with flex times dedicated to certain classes and catching up on anything that you've missed.
Thank you.
For Westmore, this week is also finals. So we've had last week a de-stress event, so everyone could prepare for finals with like fun activities to de-stress. We also previously had our food fair where clubs were able to fundraise by selling food during lunch. We also recently had our winter concert this Friday where our vocal classes and band performed for the winter. And we are also going to have a TED Talk, which Miss Tony Presta will be presenting at, as well as our winter ball on January 18th. And yeah.
I had the opportunity to meet with Assembly Member Diane Pappen, as a new board member that got elected. She was hosting a breakfast with all the elected officials in the district, and so that was really good to just kind of meet and chat and say, I'm the new kid on the block, and she was really happy that to have our school district represented, and so she's very big on infrastructure and facilities. So anything that comes up in that department, she's like, I'm your gal. So, yeah.
Great. Thank you. I'm glad you were able to go. Was able to go to the California School Boards Association conference, as I think my board colleagues did, as well as Superintendent Presta. A lot of good professional development when we were there. A lot of good sessions that we attended. I know some of the stuff that jumped out at me were the sessions on AI, and also in closing some of the gaps amongst various subgroups. So it was really good to hear what other districts are doing and what can we take back, and hopefully start to think about how we can incorporate some of those ideas into the work that we're already doing. But it was good to be able to network with folks and to also see a lot of folks talking, once again, continue to talk about us as related to the work we've done as a team at 705 ceremony. So it was really good to just be able to network and talk to folks.
I don't have much to add to that, except we did win the Golden Bell Award for our work on the faculty and staff housing, because, we're very innovative that way. And yeah, it was anytime someone saw, my name tag and that I was with Jefferson Union, they're like, oh my God, you're with, that's what they know us for. But it was good. This is not my day job, but it is like my night and 24-hour job. But it was good to spend time away from my day job and be around colleagues who care about education and what we can bring back to our students and our staff. And it really re-energized me to do this work. So now that I'm getting healthier, I had some health issues earlier, I'd like to start getting into some classrooms because I missed that.
I too attended the CSBA conference, and two things kind of jumped out at me. One was the curiosity that other board members showed about the housing efforts that this board, with me and before me, has made to make the districts better. And I'm just kind of in awe of everyone who's willing to figure out what they have to do to make that work. Also, there was a keynote speaker who spoke about happiness, Her name is Lori Santos. And I think if you struggle with depression, if you know anyone who's struggled with depression, there's a lot to learn. And I think it's called the Happiness Blog by Lori Santos. Can be a resource for you.
Happiness Lab.
Happiness Lab.
Happiness Lab.
Lori Santos. Wherever you find your podcasts.
I too was at the CSBA conference. I just want to say that I went to practically every AI, well, not every AI session. Every session I went to practically was focused on AI, and I learned a lot. And I'm really excited for our district to begin really moving forward with policy and practice around AI. Other than that, this past since the last board meeting, I had a great meeting with the Brisbane city manager who came. He's very interested in, sort of touring our schools and learning how he can support our schools. And so that was great. We started off with Westmore, and Victor Zhao gave us a really wonderful tour. I wanted to become a student at Westmore. It was such a great tour. And I know all about Westmore, but we went to lots of CTE classes. It was really, it made me very proud to tour him through there. I went to Faith in Action, held a community meeting. The students at Jefferson, there's a Faith in Action youth group at Jefferson, and they organized a night for the community to come in and talk about immigration, some of the fears around immigration that the community has, and also renters' rights. So they had a lawyer from, of course, I don't have it in front of me, from a group in San Mateo County that gives free advice to citizens. And so that was a really good night. And I was very proud of our students putting it together. And they asked me to be there. I want students to know, like, when they came up to me at Student Advisory and just asked me to come. And I said, sure, because students asked me to come to something. And I was, I was just very proud of them taking the initiative. So I encourage kids to let us know when you want us places. And then finally, we're just coming, this is the last week before winter break. So some of our staff will be working over break, but I'd say the vast majority will be having a little bit of downtime. And so I just want to encourage everybody to rest and recharge and spend time with those that you love. That's it. Thank you.
I'm sorry I did not introduce Ms. Presta's remarks as the superintendent report. That's item 16B.
Thank you.
Item 16C is board subcommittee reports. Do we have any subcommittees to report from? And 16D is our AFT Local 1481 report. Ms. Casey.
Good evening, everyone. In the past few weeks, I went to a conference. Well, I went to two conferences. One was ECTK 12. It's mostly presidents that are, class certificated folks. And then the same weekend, so that was Thursday, Friday, then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I went to a conference for classified. So I just want to remind everyone that we are a union, AFT 1481, and we represent almost wall to wall. So that means that we represent classified and certificated. So I really appreciate when Rosie says we're talking about the faculty and staff housing, because we're not just teachers. Oftentimes people just say the teachers union, the teachers union. We're not just teachers. We represent almost everyone. Custodians, bus drivers, office staff, counselors, and teachers. So I learned a lot. Always, when you go to a conference, you get reinvigorated. And I was able to take Angela Dodson, which is one of my co-vice presidents. She is a classified member. And so, I just wanted to make sure people know that. The last thing I wanted to mention was We have a website that's connected to the JUHSD website, but it's for anyone to look at. It's public. It's not just for members. I do hope my members are able to look at it and get information from it. But I think there's other good information on there. It's bit.ly/AFT1481. And one of the things on there is a do not, like boycotting people that you should boycott that are not union companies, and also good people to buy from for presents, for example, hotels to go to, which ones you should and shouldn't go to. And those change all the time. So there might be a hotel, for example, in Sacramento, a Hilton, and they're fine. They are moving forward with their union. They're supporting their union folks. And then San Francisco Hilton is not. So it's good to check those frequently because they do change. And I think that's it for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 17A1 is the Oceana High School ASB report from November 2024. And I think I'm calling on Deputy Superintendent Ms. Van Raphorst.
We don't typically need to review those items publicly.
It's information.
Just
Information.
only.
You can skip over.
We're going to move on. I've received good advice to move to item 18, our consent agenda. Do we have any questions or comments about?
No, just move to approve,
Making?
move to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. When I was the board clerk an hour ago, I saw no public comment cards. Does anyone know otherwise?
No comments.
No public comment.
No public comment cards.
We're skipping 20A1. We've amended the agenda and we will bring it up another time. I believe January 14th. Item 21, action items. 21A1 is a call for nominations for CSBA Delegate Assembly. Ms. Presta?
Thank you. Yes, so CSBA has put out a call for nominations for delegate assembly. Staff has received a recommendation to nominate Trustee Andy Lee to be on the delegate assembly. So our recommendation is to nominate Andy Lee.
Based on that information, do we have a motion?
Motion to nominate Andy Lee to represent Region 5 in the CSBA Delegate Assembly.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Woohoo!
Congratulations,
All
Trustee Lee.
right.
See what happens.
One more step on the path.
Get us some money.
21B1, salary schedule revision for Operational Support Services Unit. Ms. Lujan.
Good evening, everyone. We realized that when we approved or last brought forward the Operational Services Support Services Unit, the position of painter was not listed on the salary schedule. So what's before you tonight is a correction to add that position to our salary schedule. And I welcome any questions.
Any questions? Any questions for Ms. Lujan?
No, just motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. 21C1, the 2023-24 financial audit report. Ms. Van Raphorst.
Thank you. Good evening, Vice President Walker. Good evening, trustees. I will be providing information about our audit report tonight, as the auditor unfortunately had an unavoidable conflict come up. I feel like my microphone is too loud.
Is Doreen's on? Is there feedback? No. Is that?
All right. If there happen to be any questions that I'm unable to answer with the auditor not here, I will make sure to send them to the auditor. With that, you may recall that in the fall, I provided you with the unaudited actuals financial report for 23-24 school year. That report showed the final accounting of the school year's income and expenditures after we closed the books. That report is unaudited, and this report that's in front of you tonight is the audit of that school year and those financials. So a quick overview: in California, public schools are required to undergo annual financial audits for a number of reasons, but primarily to maintain fiscal accountability. Having someone review the financials that's not affiliated with the school district. And the other reason is to ensure compliance with state and federal regulations. The audits are conducted by independent CPAs who have been approved by the California State Controller's Office. The firm that conducted our audit this year was Siobhan and Associates. As you can read in the report, the auditor reviewed the district's financial statements, our internal controls, our compliance with laws and regulations, the proper use of public funds, accuracy of attendance and enrollment reporting, and adherence to state funding requirements like the LCFF formula compliance. They spent a week in our offices last spring and another week with us this fall. During those visits, they review many documents. They take random samples of timesheets, invoices, payments, bid documents. They also review information from the schools, like student attendance records and associated student body financial records. Most of what is included in the audit report is a restatement of the fund balances and cash flow from our unaudited actuals report. There's also a section about our pension liability, but the key part of the report is the findings that start on page 97. This is where the auditor would note any problems they identified. They would put a description of any deficiencies that would need to be addressed through corrective action. And they would also list any unresolved issues that could trigger further oversight from intervention from the county or state. So I am very happy to report that due to all the hard work of our district office and school site staff, we received a clean audit report. There's no deficiencies, and I recommend that the board take action tonight to accept these findings.
Thank you. Any questions from Ms. Ramnaphorst?
I do have one question. Just a point of clarification. This was on the management letter when the auditors mentioned DASB statement number 101, the compensated absences effective next year. What does that actually mean? Didn't quite understand what they were describing in the letter.
Yeah, so that'll be something I'll have to get back to you about.
Okay, that's fine.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Thank you.
I'll put it in the weekly update so that all of the board members learn more about that.
Great, thank you.
So GASB stands for the Governmental Accounting Standards. So that I can tell you in case you wanted to Google it yourself.
Okay, great.
Before we take any action, I just want to say that this looks like a lot of work that I could never do. So thank you.
Agreed, and especially the fact that it's a clean bill of health, essentially, from the auditors is huge. So thank you.
Yeah, it's definitely the hard work of everybody that touches our financials, especially at the school site. I do want to give a shout out to the account clerks at the school sites because I think they do not get recognized very often, but they have grown by leaps and bounds in the years that I've been here in how much pride they take in their work and how they hold everybody to the same standards that we need to hold district-wide. So,
Right. Wonderful group effort, as always. Can I make a motion?
Please.
Motion to approve the 2023-24 financial audit report.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. See, it's 21C2. the first interim budget report for 2024-2025. Ms. Van Raphorst.
Thank you. Tonight, I will be presenting information about our first interim financial report. I've captured most of the information on the presentation slides. I'm going to apologize ahead of time that I will mostly be actually just reading from the slides because that's the key information. More details are also presented in the executive summary and in the full report, which is 146 pages. I'm happy to take questions either as we go along or at the end, so please just jump in if there's anything you would like to ask. So the first interim report is required by Ed Code, and we have two interim reports. This first one covers the actual spending from July through October, and then estimates for the remainder of the year. The next interim report will come in March. Once certified by the Board of Trustees, this report will go to the County Office of Education for them to do a thorough oversight of the document, and then it will be submitted to California Department of Education, and they will take a look at the documents. So a lot of eyes on our financials to make sure we're doing the right thing. We can certify our financial report in one of three ways, either positive, qualified, or negative. And this has to do with whether or not we can meet our financial obligations for the current year and the two subsequent years. Because our report shows that we can meet our financial obligations, I am recommending a positive certification. So the first interim report reflects updated revenue and expenditure projections. And a big piece of that for us is property tax estimates. So our key adjustments between when we adopted the budget and now that we're having our first interim report is we're able to solidify the staffing costs. We have a better sense of what special education needs our students have and what those might cost, and operating expenses. They've all been adjusted to reflect what's going on currently. Our property tax projections have increased. So we get our property tax projections from the State Controller's Office. And when we adopted our budget, the State Controller's Office was projecting 3.4% increase in property tax revenue over the previous year. Now they are projecting that this year will be a 5.7% increase. So that's good news. You can see the tax revenue changes over the last few years on this graph. You can see that it kind of hovers around 6 or 7% annually, typically. Right now, the State Controller's Office does have the projection for next year as only 2.6% increase. So that's what I've used in the multi-year projections. And as they revise this estimate, I will revise my projections. The State Controller's Office has information on their website for the prior year, the current year, and the coming year. So that 4% for fiscal year, between fiscal year 26 and 27 is just my estimate based on history and, being conservative. So a summary of our revenues and expenditures in this report. Compared to when we adopted our budget, the revenue is projected to be 1.93 million higher than what was in the adopted budget, and that is primarily due to that increase in the property tax projections. For our expenditures, we're looking like we might come in about $500,000 higher than what we had projected at the budget time. And this is primarily because of PG&E rates. They just continue to go up, as anybody who pays PG&E bills knows. There also are some higher costs than expected because we have had to contract for some positions that we were unable to fill. And that is more expensive than hiring people. So between the increase in revenue and the slight increase in expenditures, our deficit actually has decreased. So compared to our budget projections, Our deficit is $1.43 million less, but it is still substantial. So when we closed the books on 23-24, we had a $1.9 million deficit, and the projected deficit for this year is $5.3 million. This is a structural deficit, which means that it's projected to be ongoing. We have had this discussion for the last few years that we are deficit spending because we have more reserves than is required. And we want to make sure that we are, providing the best salary possible, the best programs for our students possible. So we are carefully monitoring this deficit to make sure that we don't end up in a negative.
Quick question.
Sure.
Ms. Van Raaphorst, with regards to the parcel tax that just passed, when will we start to see collections of that? Is that next year?
Yes, it is next year, and it is in this this interim budget.
Okay, thank you.
I did put it in the multi-year projection. So we'll see it starting July.
Okay.
Good question. I did want to point out that we continue to be a community-funded school. That's why our property taxes are the biggest factor in our revenue. For many other school districts, in fact, most school districts in the state of California are funded through the local control funding formula, or the LCFF. So that is the formula the state provides, says that's the minimum for any given school district based on their number of students, the types of students that they serve. So for our district, in the current year, our LCFF formula is about 22% lower than our tax revenue. So that gap between there is our kind of our at-risk funding. If something were to happen in the property tax market and property taxes tanked, we would have the safeguard that we would always receive at least our LCFF formula. This gap has been growing slightly year over year as our property taxes have grown faster than the LCFF formula. The reason the LCFF formula is so, why it's like shows declining or flat for us is because we have declining enrollment. So each year we have fewer students. So even though the formula components rise, the net formula decreases because we have fewer students. So this is our reserves. Back, I think it was about a year and a half, 2 years ago, the board adopted a reserve policy that directed me on how I should be planning for reserves. So it projects, or it requires, that we maintain a 10% total reserve comprised of 8% in the general fund and 2% in special reserves. And then in the second year out, that we keep an 8% reserve, and then the third year out that we make projections that keep a 6% reserve. The state requirement is 3%. But as I showed you in the previous slide, we have about 22% of at-risk funding. So 3% is not fiscally prudent. And this was the discussion we had when we adopted the board policy. So, So the components of our ending fund balance show that we have the economic uncertainty reserve, which is the state required reserve of 3%. We have the strategic reserve, which is from our board policy of 5%. And then we still have unallocated funds of 9.25 million, or almost 9%. That is the reserve that is above what we have set for ourselves. The Fund 17 reserves right now are only at about 1.3%. And when we discussed the board policy, we said we wanted to put some money into Fund 17 each year until we got to the 2% level. So in this budget, when you pass it, if you pass it, it will authorize me to move $300,000 from the general fund to the special reserve so that we can continue to make progress to getting to 2% in Fund 17. Moving on to the multi-year projections, there are some assumptions I have to make. We gave a 2.44% salary increase for 24-25, and we made improvements to the district's healthcare contribution. What I am assuming for the 2 out years for 25-26 and 26-27 is that we make no additional salary increases. That doesn't mean we're not going to. It just means that's the assumption that I made in this report. Right now, like I said, we covered 100% of the increase to the health premiums this year. But in the out years, I only assumed that we would increase our contribution by the same rate of inflation. I also, as I said, I assumed that we would make a $300,000 contribution to Fund 17. I reduced the supplies budget in 25-26 and then ongoing because we are still using up some relief funds from the COVID relief funds, and we need to learn to spend without those relief funds going forward. I did show a net increase of 3 FTE in teachers for 25-26. This is a combination of reducing some library positions, but then adding a 7-period day to Terra Nova because they do not yet have extra classes in their schedule. So if we decide to go some other route, then that will change. But those were the assumptions I made in this budget. And then increasing contributions to PERS, that's the classified retirement system. And those contributions are still increasing each year. And then, of course, increasing our operational costs at the rate of inflation. So if PG&E bills go up higher than inflation, like they have the last couple of years, then I will be out of whack. But that's the assumption I made. So with those assumptions, you can see that we are deficit spending each year, but it is less. Each year there is less of a deficit. And that our total reserves at the end of 26-27 would still be over 11%. So real quick, just a timeline. We are in December. You're hearing the first interim report. In January, I will learn what the governor is projecting for the 25-26 school year. In March, we will have a second look at the current year with our second interim report. And then in April, we will have a study session to look at our spending in the current year and projections for the next year and solidify what it is that will end up in the budget for 25-26. In May, the governor comes out with a revised budget. And then in June, we have to adopt our budget. Also in June, the state will formally adopt their budget, but it's usually after we have to adopt ours. So then those adjustments will come in the first interim report, and we just keep going around this circle. In June, there will be 2 meetings where we talk about budget, the first one for the public hearing and the second one for the adoption. And that is my summary of our interim report. And now I recommend that you approve it.
Thank you. I have a question. Is Special Fund 17, is that a district instrument or is it?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a district instrument, and what makes it special is that the board has to take action to move money into it, and if they wanted to move money out of it, they have to take action. But so it's just like a savings account that's a little bit harder to spend out of.
But that's the code, like all school districts have a Fund 17. It's not specific to ours.
Any other questions?
Just a comment. Just then, thank you so much. I mean, considering, all the work that goes into this, and the fact that we continue that even in this environment to be able to have positive certification for the next 3 years, which as most of us know, many districts are really struggling with that. And so for us to continue on this positive path and under your guidance and leadership is remarkable. So thank you so much for your work.
Thank you.
Do we have any board action on the certification of the 2024-2025 first interim financial report?
Motion to approve first interim budget report 2024-25.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item 22, consideration of future agenda items. Does anyone have anything?
Actually, this is something that came up just over conversation while we we're at CSBA, and I'd like to get maybe a presentation on how athletics are funded in our district, the different ways they're funded, what comes from our general fund, and how, because I see that there are some discrepancies between boys sports and girls sports, how they're funded, how much money each has. For instance, I know that football costs more, but how do our schools decide how to fund their teams? Because, sometimes we've got students who are saying, God, they've worn the same jerseys for years. I think my dad wore the same one. I mean, and then I'm always getting requests for fundraising. Like my nephew needed for the basketball team fundraising. I always give. And I know that my daughter, when she was at Jeff, for the JV basketball team, they had one of the snap raise things. And so that year they had, because there was a lot of donations, especially from her rich uncle, the girls had great uniforms and suits, but then the next year, they get to take those home, but then the next year, the girls did not have the same. So I'm just really curious to see how this works.
Okay. Thank you.
Any others? Item 23, adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
I was going to second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. One time.
All right.